How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of High and Inside. This is the second edition of our weekly baseball video blog. I'm Drew Allen. This is Kevin Bowen. As we stand now, the Hoosiers just come out of another weekend series and a midweek game. They went down to Corpus Christi this past weekend to play Texas A&M Corpus Christi, UConn, and Oregon State. Got a couple of wins, including a big one against the host Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and a loss on Sunday to Oregon State. And then yesterday they went over to Cincinnati to play kind of a Midwest rival in Xavier. Ended up pulling out a win in a high-scoring affair, 7-6 the final score. I guess what we're going to do now is get started with the midweek series. Kevin's going to talk to us a little about that. Kevin, from the midweek series, what did you kind of take out from those games? What stood out to you as far as
the bullpen? Again, is pitching very well for this team. And the IDS on Wednesday, we did a little alternate story form where we pulled out the bullpen stats versus the starter stats, and the bullpens pitched about 35 innings going into the Xavier game, whereas the starters have only pitched 23 innings. The strikeouts, the hits, the earned runs all favor the bullpen, and that's really what happened over the weekend. Drew Leininger only pitched 2 innings on Friday against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. The bullpen finished off the last 7 innings of 2-hit baseball. They beat the Islanders, like you mentioned, 14-3, and that was a big win. Not only is it a road win for the Hoosiers, but Texas A&M Corpus Christi also beat Texas earlier in the week, who's ranked number 6 in the nation. So that was a big win. A lot of hits in that game for the Hoosiers. Obviously, you score 14 runs. I believe they had 15 hits. And guys other than Alex Dickerson and Jared Sabrin are doing it for this team right now. Justin Kiritan, Michael Basil, Ty Downing all had big weekends down there in Texas. On Saturday, they beat UConn 3-1, going up against Matt Barnes, one of the best pitchers in the nation. UConn was preseason ranked a top 10 team in the nation, and Alex Dickerson, playing like the All-American candidate that he is, he did hit a home run in that game, a 3-run shot, the only runs ever scored off Barnes. And Blake Monar, another big start for the Hoosiers. He's been the one guy after these first 2 weekend series games that has started very well for him and pitched well. And then on Sunday in the closer, Oregon State, a tough loss. They lost 7-5. The bullpen did kind of fall apart in the 8th inning, giving up 5 different pitchers, accounted for 3 runs. They walk. Coach Tracy Smith said after the game, that's our own worst enemy. You can't walk the leadoff batter. They did that in that inning. And Matt Carr had a little fly ball trouble in the 5th inning when the Hoosiers were up 4-3. He didn't know who was calling it in the infield. The fly ball dropped in front of Carr, and the next pitch was a home run to the next batter. So that was obviously tough for the Hoosiers. But I think all in all, Coach Tracy Smith said he was very happy with the weekend. They got 2 big-time wins on the road, and then like you mentioned on Wednesday, I get a nice win over Xavier.
Yeah, definitely. The Xavier win came a little bit differently, though, especially in terms of the bullpen. Obviously, Matt Eigel, who usually comes out of the pen on weekend series, he got the start midweek. Didn't look too good. He was out after 2 1/3. He was out after 1 out in the 3rd, and during those 2 innings that he pitched, the Hoosiers defenders kind of squandered the 4-0 lead that they had built in the top of the 1st inning alone with the batting, and that was a whole different story. Though it's kind of more like what you were saying with the guys stepping up in place of Dickerson, because in that Sunday game against Oregon State late, he had a collision with the wall, kind of banged up his head a bit, and Coach Smith decided to rest him for the Wednesday game against Xavier. So Josh Lyon played in both his spots, both in left field and in the 3 spot in the batting order, and he was just sensational. He basically single-handedly accounted for most of IU's runs. I mean, the 3-run homer in the 1st, followed by freshman Dylan Dooney's very first career home run as a solo on the very next at bat. And then again in the 5th inning, I believe it was, Lyon hit a solo to give the Hoosiers another lead. By that point, it was a 6-5 advantage, and but Xavier's hitters continued to fluster everybody who came out of the bullpen. There were three guys who came out of the bullpen for IU in the 5th inning, and they continued to struggle until Joey Donato came in and basically completely took over the game.
Right.
I mean, we're looking at 2 strikeouts for Donato out of the bullpen and 3 pickoff throws.
And that is something that a weapon. I was at practice on Tuesday out there on the football field because Simbauer Field isn't quite ready yet, and the pickoff moves is something that this team works on. They work on those
Absolutely.
situational plays. Coach Tracy Smith was preaching the small things, and like you mentioned, those are 3 big outs. And in a game of 27 outs, 3 outs can be huge, especially coming out of the bullpen. And he will not probably start in the weekend series this weekend as the Hoosiers travel to Knoxville on Friday. They'll play Morehead State on Friday, Tennessee on Saturday, and close with Bradley on Sunday. Those are 3 games the Hoosiers will all be favored in. Compared to the national competition that they've played the past couple series, this is probably a little break. I know I talked to Coach Smith, and he wasn't taking any bait, though. He said anytime you go up against those teams, all it takes is one pitcher to turn the game around.
Yeah, exactly.
So for this weekend, the Hoosiers will send out a totally different staff besides Blake Monar. On Friday, junior Chad Martin, who closed out the Connecticut game last Saturday, getting the first save for the Hoosiers. He will start the junior college transfer against Morehead State. And Saturday, we mentioned Monar going up against Tennessee, who was picked to finish last in the SEC East. Granted, the SEC is probably the best conference in college baseball, that of the Pac-10, I think people would argue. And then the final game will be freshman Brian Corte out of the guy who's only pitched 1 inning all year. He's going to get the start. He's a kid that went to Cincinnati Elder High School, the same high school as Michael Basil, the shortstop. So those will be the 3 starters for the Hoosiers this weekend. They will have another midweek game against Indiana State next Wednesday in Terre Haute before they travel for about 7 games, I believe, over spring break. So for Drew Allen, I'm Kevin Bowen. This has been High and Inside, and follow us on Twitter, IDS_baseball, and we'll have updates from this weekend series. Thanks, guys.